Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday, sweethearts. How y'all doing? Got some intense energies going out. Today's probably going to be the most intense energies of the week, if you will. And if you go back a few days when I did my live video, and I had mentioned that what is happening is you are going through a space of releasing the emotional identification to who you have been, if you will. And Rhea stated it very good. She put on there the attachment to the personality, and that is really what it is. And I've also stated before that everything is part of a diamond. You're anchoring in your diamond light bodies. Now, the main issue of everything comes down to three: abandonment, rejection, and unworthiness. And those three things connect to one. And that all comes around trust. Good morning, Kimberly. Since just after 2 o'clock this morning I've been up, I got bombarded with messages starting late last night. If you observe, let's step back your emotions, ladies, because in masculine, you play a role in this too. Now, this is within and without, guys. And you will find that right now the feminine are struggling with a whole lot of trust issues. And if you step back and you observe on Facebook, and I'm going to use Facebook as an example, but you can use any social media. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, John. And you are finding the ladies, the feminine aspects within and without, within the men and the women. Again, this is all about balancing and harmonizing and choosing which world you want to be in. Right now, you're going through a separation of worlds. A bifurcation of timelines, sweethearts. And right now, as the masculine rises and has surrendered to the feminine aspect within themselves, whereas the feminine had to rise, if you will, now the feminine is having to come down off of her high horse and claim her throne. Now, and be in equality hand in hand with the masculine, if you will. As these women, all of us, mind you, it's energetic behavior imprint, sweethearts. I'm not judging anybody. Just like I have stated in the past that all these complaints against the masculine being narcissistic and yada, 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 well, look in the mirror. It began with us first, ladies. We're more narcissistic than they are. But what is happening right now is, all right, let's look at it this way. I've stated many, many times that up until my journey, I've been known as Mama. Everybody has called me Mama. And people used to say, you're being rude. That person was talking to you. No, they weren't. They were talking to Linda. Well, who do you think you are? I never allowed myself to identify with Linda. Now, if you can step back and you can observe that, you've had to reintegrate, if you will. Good morning, Sienna. Good morning, Rose. Good morning, Athma, Makey, Rob. Big hugs and blessings, sweet ones. If you can step back and you can observe, sweethearts, you will see that everything that you are going through, if you step back and you observe social media, you are seeing the feminine lashing out. You are seeing the women getting fed up with this and that, and they're putting all their dirty laundry on Facebook, which is fine. Reach out if that's what, I'll be the first to encourage you to reach out. However, reaching out and projecting out is two different things, ladies. And you're finding the masculine as they are trying to balance. And again, I'm talking essences within and without. And The masculine are finding themselves right back into a space with the feminine of having to play savior, having to play rescuer, having to do this, having to do that. And really, it has nothing to do with the masculine essence in that sense. It has everything to do with the fact that you are being asked to release the emotional attachments to the identification of your physical vessels. Now, your journey has been one of loving you back to love. Your journey has been one of loving yourself through all the personality identifications and bringing them back into wholeness within. Now, this last leg, if you will, of what is being experienced, especially for the feminine, is all these energies are about is surrender. Surrender, surrender, surrender. And that surrender is to the Creator. The Creator has no name. The Creator has no identification. The Creator has no personality. In an emotional, attached sense. And so as you integrate and go through, it's never what the physical presents, sweethearts. There's always an underlying, hidden, unseen, unheard energy. And that energy is an energetic behavior pattern that is asking you to release. That energetic behavior pattern that is attached to that has emotional, conditional attachments to the personality of the vessel. You are not your vessel. You are your soul and your spirit. We, in unity. The I of spirit and the me/you, which is we, of the physical. Now, the above and the below, the past and the future, all coming in together as one. Now, ladies, if you step back on what you're going through right now, you are arguing against yourself. You're not arguing against your family in the outside physical world, even though it's presenting itself as such. You're not arguing against your spouses and your managers and your bosses and your co-workers, yada, yada, yada. You're arguing against yourself. Because yourself is asking you right now to surrender to self and to stop surrendering to the personality, whether it be Linda, whether it be Richard, whether it be John, whether it be Sharon, whether it be Donna. And should I name you all, whether it be Sienna, Rose, Ethma, Barab, so Kimberly. So good morning, Sharon. Good morning to you. Big hugs and blessings, sweet ones. So if you can allow yourself to step back rather than get caught up in these intense emotions that are directly tied into the physical presentation. And that's why I say allow yourselves to step back. Because it's the intense emotions that you're reacting to, and that you're going on Facebook and you're posting and calling everybody all these vulgar names and saying fuck you and wake up and do this and do that. That's your ego. That in no way, shape, or form is godly. That in no way, shape, or form is divine love. That is strictly the ego being throwing its tantrum. And for some, you know, in messages, I get but what? Seriously, but what? If you again, we have encouraged you and encouraged you and encouraged you. The only way to overcome it. Good morning, Marlon. Good morning, Melissa. Big hugs and blessings. The only way to overcome it is to detach your emotions. Now, the only thing that is coming up and throwing a tantrum and putting the business out on Facebook and projecting anger, projecting everything out, is the emotional personality to the physical vessel. because it is the emotional personality identification. The Sharon, the Melissa, the Linda, the Sue, the Richard, the Marlon, the John. You are being asked to surrender, and you're in the process of allowing you to step from the personality of the vessel of the 3D world, if you will, and you're being asked to surrender to spirit as you go through this crossing. And by surrendering to spirit, you become yourself in the new 5D physical manifestation plane. Rather than, in other words, you're being asked, what world do you want to live in? Do you want to continue into the 3D grid where you're always having to struggle for identification, where you're always having to struggle and fight, if you will, for recognition, to be equal with the masculine? So right now, the bottom line energy of all of this is trust. Trust in the self rather than the name personality. Trust in the creator versus trust in the vehicle. And right now, you're being given an opportunity, sweethearts. You're given an opportunity in a triad of ways. You are being presented, you are at a choice point. Remember, we've been saying there's no more riding the fence. So really, ladies, as you have risen, if you will. Now the masculine has finally surrendered, and I'm not talking physically necessarily, just physically, I'm talking within yourselves. Your masculine within has finally surrendered. And now it's a dance of harmonization. And in this, it's a roller coaster to freedom. And good morning, Valerie. Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Tanner. Good morning, Sienna. Big hugs and blessings. Marlon says the self-image is the key to human personality and human behavior. Change the self-image and you change the personality of the behavior. And that's a really good point, Marlon, because right now we have been letting go of the human behavior, the humanness that we have been enslaved in. And everything that, Marlon especially, changed the self-image. Well, right now, sweet ones, that self-image is being switched to a whole, to a complete, to a holy image, self-image, and personality. And in order to get to that holy self-image, you have to be willing to let go of the old personality and its emotional attachments to the old personality. And that is what a lot of the feminine are dealing with right now. You know, yes, but I have to stand in my truth. I have to stand in my power. You're right. You do. That's what you're being asked to do. However, what you are not being asked to do is stand in the power, in the identification, in the emotional attachments, in the truth of the emotional conditional attachments of the vehicle that were created in the 3D grid. 5D grid has nothing to do with the 3D grid. And we're leaving the 3D grid behind. We're stepping into a heavenly paradise of a fifth dimensional frequency in the physical plane. It don't matter. You can rise yourself to the 144th dimensional frequency within. But the 144th dimensional frequency in no way, shape, or form can be maintained in the human flesh vehicle, sweethearts. And because the diamond light body is not a flesh vehicle, it is a formless being crystallined into form. The form of the flesh has to be released, including all the emotional attachments to the personality and everything else. Those identifications have to be released as the light body is fully anchored into form. And so, as you go through these energies, sweet ones, again, the being that is throwing the tantrum on Facebook, on social media, the feminine that is projecting out, convincing themselves that they are standing in their truth, they are claiming their power, they are standing in their power. Observe thyself. I encourage you, observe thyself. Because it is the inner Tana, the inner Brian, the inner Valerie, the inner Rose, the inner Linda. It's that inner child that is throwing the tantrum, that wants to be seen, that wants to be heard, that wants to be loved. And everything on this physical presentation right now, all the chaos, all the integrations, all the turbulence, whether it is physical, whether it is emotional, whether it is mental, whether it is spiritual, is under surrender right now and being asked to surrender. And again, this is that balancing, that roller coaster ride, because the feminine rose and the masculine had to rise up to meet her. And the masculine is at his throne. The feminine has claimed her throne. But right now she's not wanting to sit beside the masculine. Right now she's still in a space of, she went down and sat on the throne waiting for the masculine, if you will, to rise up, to be equal with her. Well, right now she being the feminine essence, the energy within, is now having to come down off of that high of claiming her throne back and mastering her power rather than abusing it. And it's a dance. It's a dance. And right now, ladies, feminine, and those essences within the masculine on the physical plane, step back and observe thyself. Masculine, do not allow yourself, and again, validate anything I say within. Anything, sweethearts. The masculine, you're being asked, don't be that savior. She wants to rant and rage, let her rant and rage until she learns to master her energy, and until then, she'll stay in the karmic wheel of cycle. Feminine, ladies, you want to claim your goddess prowess, if you will. You don't do it by projecting out and calling people motherfuckers and fuckers and fuck you and this and that. Excuse my language, creator. You don't do it by emotionally reacting. Because how you emotionally react right now, look at the dogs are validating it for you. Good morning, Jamie. How you are reacting right now, thinking it is claiming your power, thinking that you're stepping into your truth. Step back and ask you, is it your spiritual ego taking control because of how you are reacting from your egoic mind? Or is it really your spirit that's throwing that tantrum? Because I can guarantee you, if you step back and you observe, in no way is it your spirit. Stop. Stop. Spirit has no reaction. Spirit has no judgment, sweethearts. It's only that human personality construct that does. And as you allow the duality of your personality identification, emotional identification to the personality of your vessel of the 3D construct go, and you embrace the true self personality, if you will find that it's really truly a matter of surrendering to self rather than a surrendering and claiming a label, a definition, an identification. And that is what is being presented. So ladies, I really encourage you. Like I said, I've been up since 2 o'clock dealing with a lot of this, with a lot of feminine. When you allow yourself to step back and observe, you're going to find it's just your ego not wanting to let go of the emotional attachments it has to the personality identification that you have grown up and been taught that you are. You have been taught that Jen or Tana or Jamie or Rose or John or Brian or Linda, that that's who you are. And it's not who you are. And that is the identification that's being released. That is what is being presented for you through your experiences and circumstances right now. Showing you, are you going to continue to fight and struggle and claim the emotional identification of the human vessel, or are you going to allow yourself to release it and surrender to the true nature and the true identification of who and what you are and all that you are? Because all that you are is love. Living in a space of contrast. You are not the duality of the 3D. You are a divine being of light. You are not the spacesuit. You are a multidimensional divine being of light that controls the armor of the spacesuit, which allows you to live on the 5D earth in your crystalline light body. And that's what this is. This is a crossing, sweet ones. If you allow yourself to surrender and for it to be the crossing. You know, the crossing has a lot more energies than being something that you've been crucified on. Okay, let me see what Jen says. I'm going through this with my man, exactly what you're talking about. We took a break, and if we talk, he's letting me talk gently about what I need. But I'm going about it in a totally different way. That's beautiful, Jen. And so, sweethearts, as you go through, and again, today is going to be some of the most intense energies of the week. And, you know, you got Mars and Venus in direct opposition of each other in their faces of energies today. And, you know, yesterday it was really becoming prevalent. So allow yourself to see beyond what the physical is presenting, sweet ones. Really allow yourself to see where really what the physical is presenting is an opportunity for you to fully surrender the 3D timelines, the 3D lower frequencies, and allowing yourself to step into the new higher frequencies of the 5D. In other words, you're at a choice point. And this is a choice point where there's no going back. You're at a choice point. Do you want to continue engaging, participating, anchoring in through your emotional reactions, through your projections of intense emotions? Is that really what you want to anchor in for your experience of heaven on earth? Or are you truly going to surrender in the faith of the trust that you behold for the Creator? And that is what's being presented. That's what these energies are all about. Again, breathe, breathe, breathe. Allow yourself to step back and breathe, to observe, you know. And again, validate anything I say within. I'm not your savior. Hell, I don't want to be your savior. And I say that with all the love of my being. You are your Savior. And it's really just a matter of letting go of the humanness, emotional identification attachments to the vessel.